Mike, they lost to Minnesota. Minnesota. I mean, I didn't. You warned us. You warned us, the viewers out there. You warned me that Minnesota's not this typical Golden Gopher team.
Yeah,
they're better than they used to be. But I'm like, it's Minnesota.
It's Minnesota.
And you know what? To lose to Minnesota, I didn't see it coming. The opening play of the game, Moses didn't spread the Red Sea like they did there. It's the Red Sea, yeah. Anyhow, and he fumbles. And it just was an omen for the whole game. There they are, their chance to come back late in the game. Hackenberg fumbles. It just was one of those. What is going on with this team right now?
Well, turnovers are certainly a problem. Turnovers have been a problem, you know, they're not very good, and there's a lot of reasons. Part of it is physical limitations. Part of it is the fallout from the sanctions. Part of it is the fact that they have young people, very young people at key places, most notably quarterback. They've had physical problems. You know, you talk about the defense. The defense on Saturday was absolutely horrible in the first half, but then pretty good in the second half.
Okay.
You know, one of the things that everybody said before the season, including I think Bill O'Brien, was, you know, they don't have a lot of depth at linebacker. They've got to be healthy at linebacker or it's really going to fall apart. Well, they could not have been less. I mean, they could not be more unlucky in that regard. The latest exhibit of that, Ben Klein is now out for the year. He tore. We just learned that Bill O'Brien's at Bill O'Brien's press conference, he tore a pectoral muscle.
I hate when you do that.
Tore a muscle in his chest on the third play of the game on Saturday, and played the entire game with a torn chest muscle. Which is, you know, O'Brien was very praising of. This is the kind of kid this is. He is a really tough kid and a warrior and a 4.0 student.
Wow.
And now he's going to have 2 surgeries. He's going to have another shoulder surgery and this chest thing. So they hope he'll come back next year, but he's done for the year. So lots of things have been less than optimal.
Quick thought, and then I'll get to a more narrow question with the defense. One, offensive line's got veterans. Wide receivers got enough veterans. Linebackers, defensive line had veterans, so not all young players. And I can understand what you're saying if it's Michigan, Ohio State, you know, some of those teams. But when you're talking Illinois and Minnesota's been struggling to get enough players there to recruiting-wise. They should be on the same caliber, depth-wise, talent-wise with Minnesota, and yet Minnesota looked far superior out there in all elements of the game on Saturday.
If you look at Penn State's offense as opposed to their defense, their offense, I mean, they're returning a veteran offensive line, as you said. They returned one of the best wide receivers in the country. They're returning a 1,000-yard rusher in Zach Swinak and a quarterback who everybody wanted. I mean, he is an 18-year-old freshman, and there aren't a lot of true freshmen that play at a big-time program right away. But he is a really talented and highly regarded kid. And has he made progress?
That's my question to you. Has he gotten better?
First month of the year, he averaged 284 yards a game passing, and he was Big Ten Freshman of the Week 3 times in the first month or so of the conference season. I don't know that he's gotten better. Now, O'Brien talked about this a lot today, and he talked about he did say a lot of specific things where he sees progress, and he sees him learning things and picking up things. He said he had his best practice of the year yesterday.
Wasn't that convenient?
Well, okay. So he had his best practice of the year yesterday. So I mean, it's so hard to talk about this without acknowledging that he is an 18-year-old kid, but has he gotten better, I think is a very fair question.
Does it fall on the coach and trying to coach him up because the rest of the league is caught up to him, or is it the player and you just hit a wall? What do you see?
Well, I don't think the rest of the league has caught up to him. I
it's coaching and play call.
I don't think that's the deal. I think that it's the hardest position to play in sports. It really is. I mean, it sounds like I'm making excuses and being a homer here, but it's quarterback, people. It's hard to do. And I do think O'Brien probably would. I don't know if he would accept, but he deserves some of the blame maybe for not coaching him up to the extent where you would see the kind of improvement you hope to see.
Speaking of coaches, let's stick on the defensive coordinator spot. You mentioned the linebackers. There's some injuries there. Does John Butler deserve any of the blame for what we've seen out there? Where does he fall? A lot of fans bring up Butler's name a lot.
Well, to me,
with the lynching.
To me, there's this big contrast between the perception and reality with the offense and the defense. I think a lot of people, if you read these chat rooms and things, they want Butler's got to go. Well, to me, the defense has overachieved, or at least not underachieved to the extent that the offense has. So, I mean, I don't know if and apparently they made some adjustments at halftime, which is a sign of coaching on Saturday. So right. I just think they're really physically limited in terms of what they can do on defense, especially against the pass. I think they've been decent against the run, but against the pass, they are limited in what's possible, I think.
Purdue, what should we expect with Purdue, the Boilermakers coming?
Purdue's awful. Purdue's only win is against Indiana State,
which is not even
a Division 1A team, and they don't seem to be getting better. They're really struggling, and this is a game that Penn State ought to be able to win,
and win easily.
Well, we would think so.